Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a fantastic day, regardless of how ridiculously red the market is. I was joking with my community. We got a flash sale on our hands here. There's very few green coins. Looks like Tau is really the only one to do well here. So we're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin, of course, see what's going on here. What we want to do is update our fib levels here to kind of go with a little bit more of a macro scenario, and then kind of just recognize the overall sense of key level supports, what that means for us now that we are trending towards closing below them, and just a handful of other little best practice scenarios here. So once more, I'll always update our playout chart and post that on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. But for the moment right now, I'll just go ahead and quickly get us some trend lines here and some fib levels, and then more to come here shortly. So if you are new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hope you can learn something today. If you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is the site, link down below. Got a lot of new members coming over. Congratulations, of course. Happy to have you along. We can see here, actually, let's go through our productivity here over the last week's worth of trading. It's been a little tumultuous here. We got an XRP short, roughly 50% in 3 days. Solana short, 32% in 6 days. And then we had to close our Aave and Litecoin long. Okay, so in a lot of ways, kind of averaged out kind of effectively there. Thankfully, we had a nice little AVAX long as well, about 30% from yesterday, securing profits before things dumped. So again, good and bad, all of the above, right? This is just a pretty ugly market. So let's look at some back-end data, kind of see what's going on, see if there's any more potential for further downside. My guess is yes, because I recall there being a pocket in the 80K range. Let's discuss that here. Let's go with the macro first. Take a look here on the right-hand side. We can see 83 to about 85,000. If we do get closer to 90K, it would be safe to presume that may happen. Between now and then, more immediate though, just keep this in mind, more immediately, 94 to 96K has the heaviest concentration of liquidation. And if you're new to the channel, you don't know what liquidation implies. These are where like high leverage longs are hanging out right now, okay? Or actually, those are probably more so medium to low leverage longs, because the high leverage longs already got destroyed. Or, this is kind of a higher leverage long here because it's kind of a shorter bar. But the simple way to recognize is that these are just areas of concentration where most people are hedged, or they're going to have a bad day when that happens. And the market makers know that, so they typically push the price action in that direction and then turn it around. So while we did see some good liquidation here that occurred between 101 and 97, roughly, that wasn't a very large amount. Okay, so Bitcoin still has a lot more meat left on the bone to the downside. So please understand that. And does that mean you just short your shirt off here with this coin? Maybe, maybe not. For right now, it's probably best not to, but we want to see how that support level holds, that 100K range. If it starts to establish itself as a resistance, then we want to consider shorting. But again, I'm a firm believer of not like trying to catch a falling knife. I missed a tremendous amount of opportunities, so please understand that that's a double-edged sword if you wait a long time to take a trade. But generally speaking, you want to wait for the trend to establish itself. Right now, the trend seems very obvious to the downside, but it's also a very short trend, right? This has only occurred for like 12 hours since Asian markets opened last night. Boom, exactly 5 p.m., price dumps, okay? There's no coincidence there. They were, they all got together and sold their Bitcoin at the same time, and effectively that happened. But either way you look at it here, we see a significant shift. So taking a long end to this bearish type of divergence here with a lot of shorts in play versus longs, it would be a bad idea, okay? Take a look here as well for open interest. We can see we're below a ton of resistance. Obviously, we talked about 107 being that resistance range. That's right here in this area. And then, of course, a lot of accumulation, unfortunately, at 105 and 106, where some late longs were trying to get some breakout trades. Again, even though I was mentioning that there's a strong likelihood we're going to see 110,000, the key takeaway that I was mentioning, and I reaffirmed this multiple times, is to wait for that level to be broken. 107, 108 needs to be broken first before we can consider taking it along to that level. As you can see here, a lot of folks are stuck in their late longs there, probably still underwater, okay? Unless they close their position in the red. Either way you look at it, we got some late longs here as well at about 101.7 when the price action came back up. And look at this. These are very late longs. As you can see, these are breakout traders. They're trying to buy at 101.7 when the local high is retested. Look at that. It spikes up, comes right back down. That's why you wait for confirmation. Okay, so again, these are just good examples of what not to do to kind of give you perspective there. There's a lot of folks, unfortunately, in the red just because they keep trying to buy the dip. And don't get me wrong, 100,000 has proven to be a very strong support in the recent past, that 101 to 102 range as well. Like this whole area here, a lot of support. So truth is, we haven't closed below that level yet. Today's daily candlestick hasn't closed. But it's not looking very good right now at this point, being sub 100,000. So let's take a look at the daily, see if there's anything we can kind of extract here. And we did talk about this previously, being still in a macro ascending trend. In other words, we're above the 50 and the 20-day SMA. That's generally a favorable sign. So I'm not saying that this sell-off, this pullback here was fantastic by any stretch, but it was a good little rinse, if you will, of some paper hands, or perhaps just more importantly, a lot of those higher leverage idiots just got destroyed. So again, when we look here, macro point of control, we can see 97,000. There's a lot of consistency there. So the key takeaway here, I would say, is that from a macro perspective, while we're testing these support ranges here and we are above the macro point of control, we still have a lot of decent things going for us. So until we break those levels, I don't think we should get too crazy with shorts. However, it seems sensible to short from 100,000 to like the 97K range as well. That seems like the range that we're going to probably be within here soon. And again, if we take a look here at the RSIs, we're right here at 50, so technically we are on the edge of potential disaster. And again, that's running concurrent with those moving averages too. So a lot of times when those things are all confluent, then you can see the price action continue. We got a MACD divergence here as well, so it does seem sensible that a short around 100,000 is maybe a better call. Again, that's from a macro perspective at this exact time. Again, there's still some support here, right? But it's also not looking fantastic. There's a good amount of momentum to the downside, and a lot of times that momentum can continue. So what we're looking for here, and what I'm kind of seeing here shape up here, is a bearish type of pennant pattern. These typically break to the downside, and again, that's when there's confluence to the downside. You don't just take a short based on this pattern if everything else is bullish. But the daily time frame is breaking bearish, right? And we're looking pretty. We're not looking very healthy in this situation here. Okay. Good news is we got, again, this macro type of support at the 96, 97K range. So if you're going to consider shorting, don't short to 87, 85K like a lot of folks are thinking we're going to hit. While that is a possibility, it's not a probability yet. Okay. And you got to recognize, just because Elliott wave or Fibonacci retracement tells us that's a key level, doesn't mean it's going to go there, right? But once more, again, macro perspective here, we take a look, we can see there is some incentive for the price to go that low if the price ends up breaking through some of these key thresholds. But right now, it's pretty safe to say that the 96K, 97K range is our tentative support. Okay, we don't know until we get there, but generally speaking, it seems like that's a likely area there of retracement. Okay, anyways, so if that support level holds, just say hypothetically that we could get a bounce there. We do, again, from the macro side here, we can see the most amount of volume accumulated at the 97K range, right? So that's an important factor to recognize. That's the point of control. We look at the RSI here, we can recognize that we got this typical bounce off 30/20 on the money flow index. That's where the price action recovered here. So had I been awake at about, I don't know, somewhere between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m., at least here in the States, I would have probably considered taking a really quick scalping type of long. That's what I'd usually like to look for. But again, when the price is dropping like this, not necessarily the best call to take a long into it. Anyways, we're underneath all moving averages minus the 200. We're soon to lose that. At least it seems pretty likely here. Once again, our local point of control, just in the last 5 to 7 days, is this 105K range. So if we just so happen to come back up to that level, it would be safe to presume that'll be a resistance for us. Okay. Furthermore, too, we take a look at the hourly. We're going to get confirmation, I'm pretty confident here, in all directions, just letting us know there's zero reasons to consider a long and every reason to lean more towards shorting this coin if you were to consider doing anything. Again, the pattern hasn't played out fully yet, but for the most part, we're starting to see it work itself into somewhat of a descending type of pattern, or this is more of a bearish pattern, and is concurrent with everything else we've seen here so far. Right. So again, all the more reason to not take a long. Hypothetically, a long at 97K seems sensible at this point, or 97K is a rough estimate for a take profit target for a short. Either one of those scenarios seems a probability at this point, but we don't know until we get there, of course. So if we see closer to 100,000 again, then I might consider a short to the 97K range. If we get down to 97K, kind of consolidate and hang out there for a little while, that may be a good consideration for a short long to the 100K range. My speculation is we're going to see some range bound activity in this $97,000 to $100,000 range, possibly even the 101, 102, because 102 was a solid support for us. It's probably going to be a new resistance. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at there. I'm going to post a playout chart with some of these updated ranges, just so you can kind of see that a little bit more clearer, and that'll be available on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. That's available here. Thank you to everyone who's jumped on and continued to support the channel, and really appreciate your feedback and comments and everything, all the above. You're just amazing people, a really good group of folks in our community. So thank you again for being just excellent parts of my life. Last but not least, if you are part of our community, please make sure you read through the signals guide so you know kind of how to structure your trades if you plan to follow my trades. While I'm not perfect, pretty decent success rate here overall. This month honestly been a little shaky, but trade alerts here are good little indications of coins I'm looking to take trades with. That's available for all memberships. Okay, cool folks. Have a good rest of your day. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.